All right. Speaking of the Steelers, happy National Canada Day, Ryan Wilson. Matt Canada has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication. I wish him the best moving forward in his career. Mike Tomlin released that statement via the Steelers and also said, this is not something I take lightly. He should have taken a little more.
Last time the Steelers fired a guy in season was my third year covering the league in 1941.
Tell the rest of the story, though.
I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I think
right.
It was an owner fired himself.
That's right. He Ted Turner himself.
Are you serious?
Burt Bell. Yeah. I think his name was Burt Bell,
who ended up becoming the commissioner of the league.
Yeah.
Even he fired himself?
Had the common decency to get out. I joked after this news came out this morning that this is basically like firing the captain of the Titanic after you hit the iceberg. I mean, we all saw this coming a mile away. What took so long? I don't understand the hesitancy to get rid of him other than the fact that they didn't want to pay a guy for not working. Instead, they paid a guy to make things worse. But now, and you said this on HQ with Brady Quinn earlier, Pete, we'll see who Kenny Pickett is, because so far he's been bad.
He hasn't been good, but it's hard. Again, with all these quarterbacks, it's the same thing. Bryce Young, you make an excuse for him every Tuesday. Will
Levis, some more if you need him.
Yeah, Will Levis gets beat up, and same thing. They're all in situations where they're not able to become good players. And so until we see the possibility that they have a chance, it's hard to evaluate them. So to answer your question, if Kenny Pickett doesn't do more in the second half of the season with the change in offensive coordinator and change in offensive, play calling, then I think you really got to start worrying about it.
Let me ask you guys this question that I put to Joe Musso, who our coworker, who is a lifelong Bears fan. They currently have the #1 overall pick that would have belonged to the Panthers had they not traded out to get Bryce.
Nice trade.
I know. I'll go with you first, Pete, because I want to hear what you have to think about this. What if Omar Khan, the GM of the Steelers, calls Ryan Poles at the end of the season and says, I will give you 2 first-round picks and TJ Watt for the #1 overall pick? What do you say? And let's say the Steelers have the 13th or 14th pick, something like that.
If I'm the Bears?
Yeah. We want Caleb.
Oh, I would take that.
2 and a TJ. I thought that wouldn't be rich enough, but everyone I've talked to, including
I would
Joe
take
Musso,
2 and TJ, and I keep Justin Fields.
Right, yeah.
And one thing we have to do is slow the roll on these next quarterbacks coming out. We're already anointing them the next great thing. I mean, Caleb Williams has kind of gone down a little bit the last month.
Drake May didn't have a good week last week either.
Yeah, let's talk about Drake May if we want to talk about.
He didn't have a good week either. That's what I'm saying.
And he's got a real test.
Okay.
Gosh.
Breach, are you taking that trade?
If I'm the Bears,
and the Bears also have the 4th pick right now too. By the way, their own pick.
So 2 first-round picks. So I'd move back to the Steelers, say 13th spot, and then 1 first-round pick on top of that,
and TJ Watt to book in Montez Sweat.
Yeah, I guess.
Can I wait the rest of Justin Fields the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the end of the year. Not now, at the end of the year, but yeah.
If Justin Fields plays well the rest of the season and you see progress and he's throwing the ball better and everything, then I would do that.
He played pretty good. I give him credit the way he played.
He did.
All right, so everyone's on board with that trade. We'll see if Omar pulls a trigger.
I'm halfway on board.
What's the setup for the Steelers moving forward?
Mike Sullivan, who is he
was with the Giants with Coughlin back in the day.
He was with the Giants. Coughlin, Eli, he was his coordinator. He has the 2 Super Bowls. He was a QB coach here. He's been in the league forever. His background is he was at Army. I think he was at Army, West Point. And he also was an Army Ranger. So if nothing else, he can beat people up if they start mouthing off to him. So hopefully, and I think, Pete, you talked about this as well, just open it up, man. Throw the ball. They don't throw the ball in the middle of the field. Just do anything differently.
I agree. Yeah, the offense was way too predictable.
Hey, Pete,
I think we need to get Jalen Warren the ball more.
Pete, I was going to say that too. I feel Wilson's over here saying, let's throw the ball more. Let's let Kenny Pickett throw the ball more. On the flip side, I would call 50 runs per game and only let Kenny Pickett throw it 5 times.
I don't know what Kenny Pickett can do. He can't, based on that.
I have an idea.
That offense. How many games has Kenny Pickett had the full complement of people around him?
Don't stop it.
I'm talking about because they've had injuries at wide receiver and tight end. Freiermuth has missed time.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who had Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore.
He threw for 170 yards or whatever last week.
Didn't make any mistakes. They don't trust Kenny to do that.
The Bengals can't stop the run. The Steelers should not throw a single pass on Sunday. Run the wing tee. You don't even have to have Kenny Pickett in the game. You just run the ball 47 times and you'll win.
All right, I'm willing to try that.
Pete,
All right,
I got a quick question for you. That wasn't on the rundown, but I was talking with my buddy Grant Paulson about possible GM candidates in Washington if they move on. Any names that stand out to you as someone who's covers this league for a long time that you would want to look at for a GM position?
That's a good question.
Adam Peters was the first one that came to mind for me.
Yeah, that's I don't, I've heard differing viewpoints on him, by the way, for a variety of reasons, but I don't know if he'd be that guy. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You know who's the Vikings are resurgent. You know who's in there now as the assistant GM?
Who?
The big man from Indianapolis.
Grigson?
Yeah.
You think
Good
he
for
gets
him.
another look?
I don't know, but he would probably scream and yell at about 8 there. No, I think he softened a little bit. He was a little angry for a while. I always like Ryan Grigson, and you know me, I have no problem with the guy who's going to give me crap, but I think these guys get in. Here's what happens, and not just guys like him, but whoever does get a job like that, they change. They get in.
Who could you be referring to?
I can refer to about 18,000 guys. Believe me, I've been around all of them. I know how they are. They all get in there. Oh, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that way. I'm not going to be that way. And then 2 losses in, they're all that way. It's
Or if they have a lot of success, they change too.
Huh?
If they have a lot of success,
they
they
have
change
success,
too.
then you become an egomaniac. And then they start fighting in the building with the coach. It's your players. Here's the one thing that happens all the time, because I know I've talked to many guys about it. Rick Spielman will tell you this. When a coach wants a player, they draft him, and then the player doesn't play to that. He blames the GM, whereas the GM will blame the coach for not developing the player. So there's your rift right away. You didn't get me this, huh? Yeah, it's exactly. It's not unlike business. I mean, that's the way business is. Somebody's always going to play the blame game when things don't go wrong, right? And so I think that's what happens. So, here's what you don't know about these jobs. Do you want a real good football guy, or do you want an administrator?
Right.
I mean, like Rick Spielman always talks about, football was just a minimal part of that job after a while. And I would hire the position executive VP. You deal with all the garbage. GM, you're my football guy. That's how I would hire the job. If somebody doesn't, if somebody gets a DUI, the executive VP should be dealing with it, not the GM. The GM should be dealing with getting football players and building the roster. That's the way I look at it.
And a lot of times what happens is the GM does well as a GM and a football guy, and then like Rick gets promoted to EVP and has both duties, and so you're dealing with everything at the same time. And I think that, inherently just becomes more difficult.
But I'll give you an example. Is Omar Khan running the Steelers football operations? He is. Omar Khan was a cap guy. That's how he made his bones. I know a lot of cap guys that would love to be football guys. And then you get the football guys who look at those guys and say, oh, well, you can't do it. I just think it's football. It's not that complicated. It really is not. It's not. Hire a cap guy. If you're a football guy, you hire a cap guy. You have an EVP above you. The EVP handles all the big picture stuff. That stuff I talked about. The football guy handles the football. The cap guy figures out a way to make it all work for the football guy. And there's your organization. It's not that complicated.